The year is 1950. Picture hot rods, drive-in diners, and sock hops. Today, we have electric cars, Uber Eats, and Spotify. So, was day-to-day life back then really that much different from today? Let's find out. Music. If you turned on the radio in 1950, you would have most likely heard the crooning voice of Nat King Cole or Bing Crosby. You wouldn't have known it at the time, but rock was just starting to get rolling. Young artists like Elvis Presley and Chuck Berry were shaping this new genre and would go on to change the music landscape forever. But in the moment, swing and big band were the most popular music styles. You might have had a record player, but most people tuned into the radio to listen to their favorite songs. Today, music can be tailored to each individual. Streaming apps like Spotify even create playlists for you based on your taste. Far from the days when, if you wanted to listen to music, you were at the whim of the local radio station. Today, if you like rap, you might listen to Kendrick Lamar. Pop artists like Doja Cat and Ariana Grande are also popular choices on the radio and streaming sites. People can curate playlists specific to their tastes that might even include hit songs from 1950. Why not add a little Frank Sinatra to that playlist to shake things up? The biggest change over the decades is that everyone's musical tastes are a lot more specified. It's not like back in the early 50s when everyone would head down to the club to hear the big band play. Now you're more likely to discover a new song you like through TikTok. Movies and TV. If you were lucky enough to own a TV in 1950, you would have been hooked on westerns like The Lone Ranger and Hop Along Cassidy. Because TVs were so new to the consumer market, it was rare for Americans to have one. Only 9% of American households owned a television, and they weren't nearly as advanced as the TVs nowadays. They were clunky and boxy with a small screen, and broadcasts were shown in black and white. And they were unfathomably expensive. A standard TV could go for as much as $1,000 in 1950, which is equivalent to about $10,000 today. 1950 was really the golden age of cinema. This was the height of Hollywood glamour and the studio star system. Movie theaters across the country premiered Sunset Boulevard, a little film from Disney called Cinderella, and All About Eve. Going to the movie theater was a regular outing, and a movie ticket only cost 46 cents. Well, prices have soared since 1950, and now a movie ticket will cost at least $10, and that's before you hit the concession stand. While movies ruled the 50s, now all the money is in TV and streaming, and there's more content out there than you could watch in a lifetime. Popular new shows include Ozark, Succession, and a plethora of reality shows. You can even keep on streaming your old faves. No need to wait for the reruns to come on TV. And today, there's probably multiple TVs in your home, not including devices like laptops or iPads. No need to crowd around a little screen in the living room. Toys and video games. If you were a kid in 1950, chances are you had a stash of Fisher-Price Little People. These wooden characters were great for kids with small hands and big imaginations. For the word whiz, the board game Scrabble was introduced in the late 40s and was gaining popularity. Of course, kids played with the classics like teddy bears and dolls, but toys were marketed more to specific genders during this time. Girls played with homemaking toys like mini kitchen sets, while boys played with cars and collected baseball cards. Now kids have the freedom to play with whatever toy they want, regardless of gender. Little girls can play with Nerf blasters, while brands like Barbie have changed their marketing strategy to be more inclusive. Kids these days also spend a decent amount of time staring at screens. They watch YouTube videos and can even have a social media presence. Video games are also a popular pastime for the young and the young at heart. On PC, kids are playing Minecraft and teens are playing Fortnite, while on the Nintendo Switch, Animal Crossing is a popular game. Beloved video game characters like Mario, Luigi, and the gang can be found across all gaming platforms. The choices are endless, and even adults are in on the fun. Back in 1950, however, you had one choice. Birdie the Brain was an early computer game that was a rudimentary version of tic-tac-toe. It was built in Toronto by Joseph Cates for the 1950 Canadian National Exhibition. It was a huge innovation at the time and was a milestone in gaming history. If you haven't done so already, please hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a video. You're the best. Thanks. Pop culture. The year 1950 marked the beginning of a decade defined by stability, conformity, and normalcy. Soldiers just home from World War II were ready to settle down with their sweethearts and start families. Cue the baby boom. And an economic boom to boot. Because of this influx of youth and money, teen culture flourished. The kids wore long skirts and even blue jeans. Gasp! Kids danced and zoomed around town with their friends and their dad's Ford Tudor. Celebrity gossip was prevalent even without the help of social media. Stars like Ingrid Bergman, Elizabeth Taylor, Marilyn Monroe, and a young James Dean drove fans crazy. These people were fashion and beauty icons, their photos plastered on the pages of magazines. The lack of social media made it a lot easier for the stars to retain some privacy. These days, celebs control their own image on platforms like Instagram and Twitter. For the first time, the general public has a direct connection to the stars. In 1950, you'd see Marilyn Monroe only on the cover of a tabloid. Now you can tweet directly at your favorite actors, musicians, or fashion models like Gigi Hadid. People are obsessed with the lives of celebrities, no matter what decade it is. The phenomenon of fame itself as an occupation is different nowadays. You don't have to be a singer or an actor. More and more people are famous for just being themselves. The Kardashians have built an empire around public interest. As for trends, anything goes nowadays. Although retro styles are in as people adopt trends from the past. With all this vintage shopping and thrifting, kids these days are bound to come across a cool leather jacket or a poodle skirt from 1950. Technology. If you wanted to call someone in 1950, you better hope that the line wasn't busy. Rotary phones and even landlines are probably unrecognizable to anyone born after the year 2000. If someone wasn't home and missed your call, too bad, so sad. These were the days before voicemail or call waiting. It was a time when sending handwritten letters was still a popular form of communication. Now it's nearly impossible to live your life without a smartphone. Think of all the things you do with your phone besides basic calling and texting. And most people ditched their landlines a long time ago. Computers started being used commercially in 1950, although they looked nothing like the computers we rely on today. You needed a specialized team to operate them, and they just did basic number crunching. We were still leagues away from being able to surf the web. Now, computers are absolutely everywhere. They've revolutionized work and school because now we can do these things at home over the internet. It would be interesting to spend the day counting how many times you interact with a computer. From the self-checkout to online banking, computers make today's world go round. There are even computers in modern-day cars. When it comes to transportation, we are on the precipice of an electric vehicle revolution led by Tesla. But even traditional manufacturers like Volkswagen and Ford are creating electric vehicles. This sure beats the gas guzzlers of 1950, although some of the hot rods from back in the day were pretty cool and have become collector's items today. Food trends. In 1950, there was a boom in canned foods like soup and dehydrated or prepackaged goods. This revolutionized grocery shopping for housewives of the era, which ultimately changed the meals they prepared. This was the age of casseroles and Jell-O molds. Other delicacies in 1950 included meatloaf, ambrosia salad, and chicken a la king. But if you wanted a cheap meal out, you'd have likely gone to a diner for a milkshake and a burger. Some diners even had car hops who would deliver your meal to you in your car. This was a very early version of a drive-thru. And for speed and efficiency, these waitresses often used, you guessed it, roller skates. In 1950, McDonald's was just a single small burger restaurant in California, a far cry from the over 35,000 locations today. A burger at McD's was 15 cents at the time, and the Big Mac wouldn't be invented for another 17 years. Now, meal kit delivery services like HelloFresh are time savers in the kitchen. With most women now in the workforce, domestic labor is more evenly distributed. There are also endless fast food options today, with franchises like McDonald's, KFC, and Subway reaching world domination. Apps like DoorDash and Uber Eats also make it easy to get any cuisine your heart desires delivered right to your door. School life. 1950 brought with it the rigid school dress codes of the 40s. Girls wore skirts and boys dressed in slacks and well-pressed shirts. This era ushered in the image of all-American high school life. Think pep rallies, dances, football games, and prom. Boys often entered the workforce without completing high school or immediately afterward. And post-war America, factory work was abundant. A post-secondary education was considered a luxury, but not encouraged for most women of the day. Becoming the stereotypical 1950s housewife was the path women were expected to follow at the time. Today, women make up about 60% of college students. School itself has changed as well. Students have gone from blackboards and books to smartboards and laptops in the classroom. Some even have the option to take classes online. Dress is a lot more casual, with many teens opting for leisure wear. Imagine being able to learn in comfy clothes. Media. With no smartphones or 24-hour news stations, let's just say that in 1950, news didn't travel at the speed it does today. Back then, people got their news in either a local or national newspaper, or even on the radio, since televisions were still rather rare. If you picked up a newspaper in 1950, you'd likely read about the state of America under President Harry Truman and the start of the Korean War. Now, the equivalent of reading the newspaper while you drink your morning coffee is scrolling through Twitter on your phone or tablet. Cable news stations are also popular news sources that cover breaking news 24/7. While paper boys, often on bikes, would deliver your morning paper to your door, today's equivalent might be getting an alert on your smartphone. When it came to television networks, there were only 3: CBS, NBC, and ABC. And more than 80% of the broadcasts were done live. So imagine, instead of waiting for Stranger Things to drop a whole season on Netflix so you can binge every episode all at once, you had to wait for the cast to do a live performance once a week and watch it on a small black and white screen. Business. The economy was thriving in 1950, and there was widespread prosperity. There was a lot of money being pumped into economic innovation. Nationwide chains like Dunkin' Donuts and Walmart were founded. Even though many families lived on a single income, most could afford to have that home with the white picket fence in the ever-expanding suburbs and still have money left over to spend on trips and luxury goods. While today, dual-income households are the norm, the economy has shifted and is seeing a surge in e-commerce. People enjoy the convenience of sites like Amazon, and a lot of people don't even shop in actual stores anymore. Online shopping also allows smaller retailers to reach a global market. But as far as investing goes, the biggest companies today, like Google, Apple, and Microsoft, continue to grow. And as the internet becomes even more ingrained into everyday life, tech companies continue to lead the way in innovation. Sports. Baseball fans in 1950 would have cheered on Joe DiMaggio and the Yankees as they won the World Series, defeating the Phillies in 4 straight games. In hockey, Gordie Howe and the Detroit Red Wings claimed the Stanley Cup. At that time, there were only 6 teams in the NHL. Today, there are 32 NHL franchises. The LA Rams had a good year in football, snagging the Super Bowl in February of 2022. In 1950, however, there was no Super Bowl. Wait, what? No halftime show? Well, the concept of a Super Bowl didn't kick off until the mid-60s. The Rochester Royals, a team that would eventually relocate to Sacramento, won the 1950 NBA championship led by star Bob Davies. The game of basketball has changed significantly since then, with mega star athletes like LeBron James and Steph Curry currently dominating the game. Thanks for watching right till the end. Since you're still here, go ahead and check out another great Now and Then video.